This is going to be my first part of my three-part video review of the Piazza Messenger Bag by Floto Imports. We'll start off simply with the dimensions of this bag. So this bag is 12.5 inches high, 17.5 inches wide, and has a width of about 5 inches. It weighs 3.5 pounds, so it gives you an idea of the amount of leather that's put into it. Speaking of which, we'll start off with the external pieces. This whole bag is made from vegetable tanned calf skin leather. They say that they use full thickness hide on this all the way around. And as I go more in depth into it, I'll start talking about exactly what type of lining they use, kind of the small little touches they add to the bag. But just kind of initial impressions of the leather, it is absolutely beautiful. They call this a cognac dyed kind of dark brown color of the bag. It's a very professional looking bag, very beautiful. It has some very large leather pieces and panels up front and along the bag and along the back of the bag that I think really add to the overall look of the bag and really help it kind of carry that really professional look with it. This bag itself comes with a strap. There are two positions for the strap to be placed at. You can either place it right along the side here. There is a D-ring, which is riveted and also sewn in. And then there is some rings along the top too. And you can also just move the carrying straps around off of one ring onto the other. So it does allow you two different positions in which to carry the bag. I honestly enjoy this position far more than I enjoy the side straps being used. This is a little bit of a more natural position to use the bag at, and I feel like stresses the bag a little bit less. When used at its side strap position, what ends up happening is the bag itself, these components kind of rub and pull along the inside. Speaking further about the strap itself, like many others, is designed with two dog leash collars at either end and fairly decent hardware. They say they use brass hardware. It feels like it's pretty well made, so I have no reason to believe otherwise. The strap itself, there's a rivet holding the strap in place. It is made of two pieces of leather connected by a buckle with 1, 2, 3, 4 adjustment holes. So not a whole lot of adjustment here for you to use, but enough that you could use it fairly well. And all the way onto the other end, another rivet holding the second dog leash clip in place. The shoulder strap itself has a nice little Floto logo on it. It is just single piece of leather with a second piece sewn over it to hold it. This is a fairly thin shoulder strap, I would say, by all accounts, compared to many of the other straps. It also doesn't have the adjustability of some of the other bags that I've reviewed. However, this does take into account the fact that this is a sub $300 bag made of vegetable tanned calf skin, which is extremely expensive leather to work with. So material-wise, they're already pretty far behind the 8 ball based off of their pricing. This bag is currently priced at $270, $675 online. However, it has a listed price of $369. It is pretty easy to find this bag under $300 if you were to shop around online. So some compromises do, I think, need to be made when you're talking about this type of price point for a bag like this. A bag like this could easily go with this type of leather in the, hundreds of dollars. We're talking $400 to $700 mark. I would say as high as thousands of dollars with some bags made by some of the handmade artisans in the United States. This bag itself is actually handmade in Italy, they say, with the craftsmen. All their leather is sourced from Tuscany and is also dyed there as well. So, talking about the outside of the bag, it has a very attractive look to it. It comes with a handle that is two pieces of leather. So you see a leather strap that goes around each of these rings, and then a second piece of leather wrapped around it. Holds very well in your hand. It's a very wide strap, so actually you get a lot of grip position, and you don't feel as if it's really straining or kind of compressing your hand, and it's not hard to kind of fit your hand underneath the strap, and it's actually extremely comfortable to hold. They do something very unique, so they stitch the leather at the top. They also then finish this leather right up here to give you an extremely nice feel in your hand here. So it actually feels extremely comfortable, and this leather stitched together up here gives you a nice little point to hold the bag at. This piece of the strap, or the handle, is connected by 2 rivets on either end, and then also sewn into place, at the end of which are 2 D-rings to hold the strap if you wanted to carry it with a carrying strap. The front of the bag is made, this front panel is one solid piece of leather, and then there's a second piece of leather here to make the top, and finally a third piece to make this back panel. There are no raw edges on this leather. This leather is finished with small little pieces of leather wrapped around and sewn over, so it gives you a very, very professional look to it. You don't see any raw exposed edges of leather. Depending on what you're looking for in a bag, that could be a plus or minus. I say, given the design of the bag, the fact that this bag is designed to be used in a bit more of a professional setting, it does look very nice to have the finishes in which you don't see any of the exposed leather. For some leather aficionados, that may be more of a demerit than an advantage, but I would say in terms of professional look, it does look very nice to have kind of those finished ends around. Along the back of the bag, what you'll notice are 2 rivets holding in 2 of the more common stress points that we find in a lot of leather bags, as well as a zipper back pocket here. So the zipper works extremely well. I know there's always a concern when you're using any type of additional hardware in a leather bag, given the fact that the leather is going to last extremely long time. The concern is always, how long is the hardware going to last? But the hardware is actually extremely well made and very likely custom made for Floto, given the fact that it has a nice little beautiful pull here, also made of brass, with an extremely smooth zipper. If you've watched my review of my Floto Weekender bag, one of the things that I continue to applaud Floto on is the fact that they don't cut corners on their hardwares, especially the zippers, which are often a common point of failure in a lot of bags. This zipper works extremely, extremely well. Now, as for the utility of this pocket, if you watch my other videos, you will know that I always have a common complaint about these bags, about whether or not whole sheets of paper will fit in this bag. So we'll do the whole sheet of paper test. This is one whole sheet of paper. It's actually the warranty sheet for the Floto bag. And you will see, when unzipped all the way, a sheet of paper can comfortably fit, and also, amazingly, go all the way into the back and then be zipped all the way closed and be carried very comfortably in the back of the bag. And then you can pull it out. And I want to applaud Floto on this, because a lot of manufacturers struggle with the concept of being able to fit a whole sheet of paper into the back of a bag. And Floto has figured out how to do it, and also do it with an extremely professional look. Now, if we look along the inside here, what we see is the leather itself. So what you'll notice with the Floto is this right here is the very raw vegetable tan leather. And then they put a leather lining along some of the inside pieces, I believe, which you can see here. It's a bit of a more raw look. Some of the panels itself are also raw leather. As we go inside, you'll see that they use a couple different types of leather in the construction of the bag. Further along the front of the bag here, you have what look like 2 buckle straps, but actually what they're hiding is an easy access to the bag itself. It's a buckle, but also you have a clip holding the actual strap in place, which is easy to secure. So it allows you easy access to the bag, but also secures the bag well and looks extremely professional without kind of belaying the fact that it actually has an easy access to both sides of the bag without you having to, take away from the look of the bag. So Next video, I'm going to work a little bit on the inside of the bag, talk about the utility. This is what I believe to be an extremely well-designed bag and very easy to use on a day-to-day basis. So this has been the first part of my video review of the Floto Piazza Messenger Bag.